This is the Highly Sensitive Club, episode number 51. Have you been told you're too sensitive, too dramatic, or too much? Do you have big feelings and deep thoughts you don't always know what to do with? I'm Stephanie Linn, a certified life coach and highly sensitive person. I've helped dozens of highly sensitive clients feel more energized, more confident, and more in control of their high sensitivity. In these episodes, you'll get the information and inspiration to level up your life as a highly sensitive person too. Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Club. Hello, highly sensitive person, and welcome to this week's episode of the Highly Sensitive Club. I realize that there's a theme around all of the podcast episodes I've been sharing, a lot of my personal work, and especially my client and my mentee journeys as they're going through the process of changing careers or building better relationships, getting into better health, changing their relationship with money, or becoming a great coach. And I realize that all of these relationships, all of these journeys involve one major thing: building a beautiful relationship with yourself. In the last few episodes, I have been talking a lot about how to break old patterns, how to get out of productivity, how to build deeper connections, and especially how to choose intentionally whether to move forward in one direction or to pivot and go in another direction. One of the things I love to talk about is attachment theory, and it's the idea of how we show up to relationships based on how we learned to cope with relationships when we were young. There are 4 types of attachments, 3 of which are different kinds of insecure attachment, meaning we do not feel entirely secure in the relationships that we have. They are dismissive attachment, when you are very avoidant, you're overly independent, and you have a hard time being vulnerable and opening up with other people. Anxious attachment, when you feel very clingy or very needy and you need a lot of reinforcement and reassurance from other people in order to feel secure in your relationships. There's disorganized attachment, where you have a little bit of both. It's like you have one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas. Sometimes you feel very anxious and you want to be connected and you're very concerned with how connected you feel to your partners or your friends or your family. And at other times you feel like, I just want to be alone. These relationships are too hard. I need to start looking for other options. Then the holy grail, of course, the one that everybody wants, is a secure attachment. That is the 4th type. And in a secure attachment, whether that's with yourself, whether that's with a romantic partner, whether it's with a family member or even a friend or a colleague, you feel connected even when you're not together. You can trust in the relationship and trust in them even when you're going through discomfort or a difficult topic. You feel no matter what you do, you are loved and appreciated. A lot of us think that whatever your attachment style is, you're just stuck with it forever and there's nothing you can do about it. But actually, you can earn secure attachments in adulthood. And you can do this through lots of work with a therapist or a counselor, or you can be self-taught if you feel like you're mostly functional and there are areas of your life or relationships that you would like to improve. You can absolutely do that. But the first thing that you want to do in order to build secure relationships with anyone or anything else, because yes, you can have relationships with time or with money or with your work or your occupation. The first thing you need is a secure attachment to yourself. And this involves trusting yourself, following through when you say you're going to do things, taking care of yourself the way that you would take care of any other relationship or any other important person in your life. You, as a highly sensitive person, pick up on other people's emotions all the time. You are probably highly vigilant and you are very aware of everything that's going on around you. So I imagine one of the things that you have learned to do is to take care of everybody else's emotions before your own. You take care of other people's deadlines. You take care of things for your shared household or for your shared projects before you take care of your own things. And then somewhere along the lines, you start to come last. And the way to build a secure attachment with yourself is to put the same amount of energy and time into your relationship with yourself as you do with anyone else. This means that you take time to rest and to decompress. One of my earliest episodes are the 4 ways to rest as a highly sensitive person and to recharge. And that means that you spend that time with yourself, making sure that you're taking care of your body, you're eating well, you're getting plenty of sleep, you're moving in ways that make you feel good, and you're doing things that feed your spirit and feed your soul. This is so important because our relationships with ourselves tend to be the ones that we negate and delay until everything else is taken care of. And unfortunately, there's always something else to do. There's always someone else that you can take care of or pour into. So, in order to build a secure relationship with yourself, you have to prioritize that relationship with yourself. You have to actually acknowledge that your relationship with yourself is important and that it's valuable and that it's worthy of your time, energy, and attention, just as much or more so than any other relationship that you have. And here's why. We think about long-term relationships, especially if you're a parent, it's with your kid. You're going to be with them for their whole lives, ideally. If you are in a romantic partnership, a lot of people promise that they're going to be with one person for the rest of their lives. That's the hope when we get married, right? However, the one person that you spend the most amount of time with is yourself. And the relationship that you have for your entire life that you guarantee you're going to have is with you. It is so crucial to build that secure attachment with yourself because then it ripples out into the rest of your life. If you have been listening to recent episodes, you have heard my interview with Sina Gensch, the wonderful coach out of Munich who works with artists. And I've been thinking a lot about that conversation, about building other things into your life that are not just your work or not just your family relationships, things that we highly sensitive people tend to lean into as our go-tos before we feel like we can move on to something else, like our hobbies or our interests, building art, getting fun movement into our day, or just learning and growing for ourselves. I've been making that big shift too, from focusing a lot of time and energy into one area and then turning it into other areas of my life too. I see this a lot with my clients and my mentees. The journey for both clients and mentees that I'm seeing right now, especially my highly sensitive people, is starting from a place of feeling unsure, being very externally motivated by other people or by deadlines or by situations. And by the time we're done working together, there's a shift where they've actually become a different person, a different version of themselves. And it takes time, it takes consistent effort, it takes clearing out the cobwebs in your brain every single time that a thought comes up that doesn't serve you, or when those old habits rear their ugly heads. It's normal to do a little bit of backsliding, but every time you move forward, every time you break that pattern, every time you have that new thought or that new belief and then you act on it, you become a different person on the other side. So for my coaching mentees, they start out just focusing on how do I learn the skills and the tools of coaching? How do I learn how to guide the client through a really powerful session? How do I learn how to stay out of the way, not give advice, and not make it about me? How do I learn to create a flow to the session that feels very organic and natural, but also helps the client get a little bit deeper and see the best in themselves? And how do I find a main belief or thought that can really create awareness for the client so that they can choose whether they want to keep it or not? It is always our thoughts and our beliefs that are creating our results in our lives, whether they're things that we want or things that we don't want. Then, about halfway through the program, they feel pretty confident about the skills and the tools, and then it becomes a mental game. It becomes, how can I stay present? How can I have confidence in my abilities, even though these skills and tools are still fairly new? How can I make it about the client and not about me? How do I get through these mental blocks about my confidence and where I think I should be? And then by the end of the program, they have that confidence. They've stepped into their identity as a new coach who can go out and help people. And I adore being part of that process for them and helping them fine tune along the way. Here's where you're getting in your own way, or here's where you're not quite catching this thing, or here's the nuance to this that you didn't see, and here's how you apply it. I absolutely love seeing this transformation because on the other side of the program, these are professional coaches who can go out into the world and really create transformation for their clients. And it is incredible to see. I also see this very same thing from my clients. The first stage is a lot of that externally focused, situational, circumstantial, buying into this is just the way things are. And then with a little bit of challenging, it's like this door starts to slowly open and they start to see there are other possibilities out there. There are other ways of seeing this that I didn't think were available. And now I'm curious. What other ways could I be seeing this? And then it starts to turn into what are my internal resources? What values are important to me? What skills or strengths can I find within myself that I've been looking outside of me up until now in order to move forward with, but they actually live within me all along? I love the idea that every person that we see is a mirror for us. This is not to say that we are narcissists and that everybody is a reflection of us and that people don't actually exist, but it's an interesting exercise to see how you respond to other people. Because if there's someone that you really admire, you just think they totally have it together, you love the life that they're living, you love the way that they show up, what are those qualities that you love about that other person? Is it that you love the way they communicate? Is it that they show up as a leader? Is it that they are ambitious? Is it that they're caring and nurturing and they have this deep level of listening? Whatever it is that you love about someone you admire, those are actually things that you have within you that you just haven't built and cultivated yet. They are at your disposal because we all have all of these qualities available to us. And if something really resonates with your heart, it's a direction for you to go in because your soul wants to learn that skill, wants to be that person, wants to express that in the world. Conversely, on the other side, if you have someone who is really pushing your buttons, who really irritates you, who you just believe is doing everything wrong and they need to change their whole lives, what are those qualities? Are you seeing them as selfish? Are you seeing them as greedy? Are you seeing them as doubtful? Are you seeing them as unempathetic? Whatever those things are, you also have those too. And they're things that you don't want to acknowledge about yourself. This is where we get into some really juicy stuff like shadow work and being able to understand and to love and to accept all of who you are as a human, because we all have all of it. We all have beautiful compassion and intelligence and expertise and ambition and caring and nurturing. And we also all have doubt and worry and selfishness and greed. We all have desires. That's all just part of being human. So in the client process, something comes up for clients where they start to recognize that it's okay to feel the uncomfortable or negative, quote unquote, emotions that are coming up for them, that they can actually handle those and they have the capacity, but also that they have strengths and they have qualities within them that they have already experienced, they already have evidence for, that they can then bring into their current situation and into their current life. I had the most beautiful conversation yesterday with my client who was feeling a little bit worried about other people's opinions. She would frequently get overwhelmed because she felt like every single thing that she wanted to follow through on was this huge task list. Does this sound familiar, highly sensitive person? You tell someone, oh, I'm going to send you this link, and suddenly sending someone a link turns into 10 different steps. This was exactly what my client was talking about. And so it felt like everything was overwhelming. Everything was so complicated. Nothing was simple or easy. And then she was building her self-esteem on whether other people gave her praise or acknowledgement, or whether they approved of the way that she was taking care of the things she was promising them. Even if that was, I'm going to send you a text message or I'll send you that recipe. If she didn't send the recipe, then she went into this spiral of, I'm not good enough, people don't like me, I have to be perfect all the time. Sound familiar? And what she realized through the session is that she may never get the response she wants from other people. But that doesn't mean that they don't like her still. That doesn't mean that she's not enough. All of those things are just bonus. Those are just icing on the cake of who she is, and she is always enough, and people genuinely like her. Not only that, but I asked her, what would you like to hear from people when you are really looking for that recognition or that acknowledgement? And she said, I just want them to say, nice job. I love that. Wow, I am really impressed. I see that you took extra care with that. I said, how do you feel when you say that? And she was like, I feel so great. And she had this big smile on her face and her whole energy changed. I said, what if you could just say those things to yourself? How do you feel? It was like this huge light bulb went off. And suddenly she realized that she can give herself recognition. She can affirm herself anytime she wants. And that is real power. That's what building a secure attachment with yourself means. That's what building a better relationship with yourself means. That you can actually take care of your own needs. You can take care of your own desires. You can be who you need to be for yourself so that you don't have to look outside of yourself for acknowledgement or recognition. And then your relationships become about connecting with other people, about seeing the best in others, about witnessing their journeys instead of trying to get something from them or wanting them to meet your expectations. This is the beauty of building a great relationship with yourself. And the final step with my clients is that they come to the other side of our coaching packages and they have also become a completely different person. They start out feeling stressed on a 9 or a 10 scale, and suddenly at the end of the coaching, they're at a 1 or a 2 stress levels. They start out with very low confidence in themselves, and they're constantly worried about how other people are perceiving them or whether they're doing the right things. And by the end of their client journeys, they are feeling so much more confident. They're tapped into their strengths, and they have a very clear picture of where they want to go and how to get there, because they've just spent the last 3 months or 6 months learning how to do the small steps along the way and to continually step into the new version of themselves that they're being, so that on the other side, that's just who they are. They don't have to try so hard. They don't have to put conscious effort into it. They've built the habits and they've shown up that way enough that that's just who they are. On a personal level, this is exactly what I do all the time. I am a product of my product. I constantly coach myself. I constantly get coached on every single area of my life because improvement is really important to me. I love the Japanese word kaizen, which means continuous, consistent improvement. I love the idea, and I bet you do too, highly sensitive person, of lifelong growth and lifelong learning. And I am always looking for ways to improve every area of my life. The big thing that I've been working on lately for myself is shifting the way that I use my time and allowing myself to trust that work is going to be fine, that the business is going to be fine, that I'm doing enough for my clients and my mentees, and that I can spend time doing things for myself. I can get into lessons and courses and programs that I've really wanted to do. I can read books and learn new things. I can connect with people on a deeper level and show up with more presence and more energy because I'm doing other things like dancing or like reading or learning new things that are filling me up so that it's pouring over into other people. I had this epiphany the other day about sufficiency, and I love the analogy that you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to fill your cup before you can share it with anyone else. But in terms of sufficiency, what if you're not just pouring into a cup in order to pour everything out of it? What if you pour enough into the cup that there's an overflow? You are a fountain of energy and connection and beautiful qualities and values and strengths that when you pour enough into it, it just naturally flows out of you and you can't wait to share it with other people. You can't wait to give to them. You can't wait to make their lives better and to leave them better than you found them. That is where true sufficiency comes in. And that's what building that secure relationship with yourself means. When you have a strong, beautiful relationship with yourself, you pour over into everyone else and it feels easy. It feels abundant. It feels so good to be able to give to other people because you always have enough and it comes from you. It comes from your internal resources and your attachment to something bigger than you, to that universal energy or that source or God, if that's what you believe in, so that you can tap into what connects us to each other on that deeper spiritual soul level. And then you can pour out from there. So there are a few questions, 4 in fact, that I want you to ask yourself right now to figure out what your relationship with yourself looks like. Number 1, if you were outside of yourself, looking at your relationship with yourself as though you're two people interacting with each other, how would you categorize the relationship with yourself? Are you dismissive with yourself and you really don't pay that much attention or put that much time into your relationship with yourself? Are you anxious, where you feel like you have to do a lot of busy work? You're constantly worrying about, are you meditating? Are you exercising? Are you checking the boxes? That might look like an anxious attachment. Is it a little bit disorganized? Do you feel like you're chaotic or you're frenetic and you change from day to day or from hour to hour how you feel like your relationship is with yourself? Or do you feel like you have that secure attachment? Do you feel like even when you're doing other things, even when you're deeply invested in your work or taking care of your family members or your romantic relationships or your friendships, do you feel like you're still connected with yourself? Do you feel like you're pouring enough into your cup that not only are you able to pour out of it, but that it's overflowing? What does that look like for you? What does your relationship feel like? If you had to describe it in a single word, what would that be? Is it warm? Is it friendly? Is it loving? Is it caring? Is it absent? Is it neglectful? Just be honest with yourself and hold it with curiosity and openness. Then, once you have a good sense of what your current relationship is with yourself, you can ask, what kind of person do I want to be? Now, this could be qualities like I want to be someone who's kind. I want to be someone who's thoughtful. I want to be someone who exercises. Or it could just be someone you're describing a type of person. I want to be someone who listens deeply to other people. That might not be a single word that you can think of, but you know exactly what that feels like. You know exactly what it sounds like and what thoughts come up for you when you're being that person. I want to be someone who exercises. I want to be someone who dances. I want to be someone who writes for fun. I want to be someone who shows up to my job and gives 100% even when I can't get every single thing done. I want to be someone who people can rely on. Think about who that person is that you want to be, and then where do you feel like you are right now in relation to that goal? The third question is, what are my values? What's important to me? Is family important to me? Or maybe it's simply relationships or connections. Is growing and learning important to me? Or is self-discipline important to me? Is service and sacrifice important to me? Or is nurturing and growth important to me? Think about the things that are most important to you and the things that you love in your life. What values or qualities do those parts of your life really resonate for you? What do they bring up when you think about them? And then the fourth question is, how can I meet my own needs and build that secure relationship with myself so that I can enjoy others without expectations? Because when you can be with other people without having judgments about how they should or shouldn't be, and whether or not they're meeting your needs or not meeting your needs, suddenly you see them more clearly. You build richer, deeper relationships with more meaning with other people because you're not only seeing and accepting them for who they are, but it comes from you seeing and accepting yourself for who you are, and it pours out from there. This is extremely powerful. And with these four simple questions, you can start to determine what exactly is my relationship with myself and is there work to be done? If you are interested in working with someone who does this every day for themselves and for others, I would love to talk to you. I would love to work with you. My consultation calls themselves will help you determine what kind of relationship you have with yourself and where you would like to improve and how to get there. Go to stephanielinn.com, that's Linn, and book a consultation call with me. The buttons are everywhere. I talk about this every single episode. I am a resource and I am here and available for you. This call is completely free. It is extremely valuable, and it is the first step to be able to tell where you want to go in your life and to assess where you are right now. That kind of clarity and that kind of knowledge and awareness of yourself are so valuable. And then if it feels good, you can decide if you want to continue to work with me or if there's some other way that I can be helpful for you. If there's a resource that I think would be valuable for you or someone else that I think would be a better fit, I will recommend them to you. I have got your back. I care about your growth. I want you to succeed, and I want you to become the person that you want to become and to have that secure attachment to yourself. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for listening. If you're ready to take what you learned today to the next level, head over to StephanieLinn, that's Linn.com, and book a consultation call to get started. I can't wait to see you there, my dear HSP.